Hi everybody, welcome to Plant Talk. Today is about Santolina. I have two Santolinas with me. This is often known as lavender cotton, which is always hilarious because it smells nothing like lavender. I feel it has more of an affinity with helichrysum. And yeah, it doesn't look like lavender, smell like lavender. It's much more potent than lavender in its actions. We'll get into the plant a little bit in a little bit. It's all like lavender cotton, but the cool thing is when you look at the plant itself, it is very cottony. We're going to go see, this is Green Santolina, and then this is Grey Santolina. And the one that's often sold and used on the market more, and both are not really used and available on the market, definitely really not in perfumery, and very rarely, if at all, used in aromatherapy, but I have worked with it sometimes. So Santolina, I first want to share a poem by Emily Dickinson, and I have a special relationship with this plant, which I'll get into in a little bit. A lane of yellow led the eye unto a purple wood, whose soft inhabitants to be surpasses solitude. If bird the silence contradict, or flower presume to show, in that low summer of the West, impossible to know. Emily Dickinson, a lane of yellow led the eye. So beautiful little button-like flowers. Santolina is in the aster family. If you've been with me with Plant Talk before, we've spent some time with German chamomile, Roman chamomile, so the asters, and yarrow. What is it about those asters? The one thing about asters is they're often very bitter in their chemistry, and that is, to my understanding, an anti-feedant strategy the plant has to deter browsing by animals. And it's important to me because I don't want to fight the animals and put up fencing, so my strategy is to have plants that are often aromatic, and if you can help it, bitter. But I have, no matter what, they get the best of me, the groundhogs and the rabbits and the deer, and you just live with that instead of fighting it. So Santolina, we have an interesting relationship. I've been gardening since my mom had me weeding when I was very little, and I love it, and I love all the plants to the best I can, even some weeds that frustrate you. Santolina loves dry, just like helichrysum. There's a similarity, but they don't smell similar. They're very chemically complex. They like dry, well-drained soil. Not happy in humidity, very tough plants. One thing that's really cool when you touch them, more so the Grey Santolina, lavender, they're both called lavender cotton, but this is more sticky, I find, than the taller Green Santolina. It's just so happy. So yeah, it loves the lean, sandy soil, well-draining soil, abhors water. Not happy in water, not happy with that humidity. So think about Croatia. I was reading about this being grown in India. Historically, these, especially more the gray, is used in clipped knot gardens. And one thing that our special relationship is, this plant is 2 years old, as is this one. I read about gardens and plants, and somebody somewhere wrote like, oh, it's the flowers are kind of just inconspicuous and ugly, and don't even bother, just clip them back to maintain that nice clipped hedge. And I kind of internalized that, and I was always like, I'd see Santolina at the herb places I like to go to for plants, and I'd be like, oh, I can't plant that. And all these years, I could have had this wonderful plant. And then finally, last year I planted this, and I remember touching it. It was like the chemistry. It smells like nothing else, and this green one is so fresh. It makes me feel like I just rinsed my mouth out with something. And it's uplifting and clarifying and really brightening. And this one is different. I'll go to the plant the live one, now that I cut this back. But the aroma profile is so different. But my understanding is this one especially, I believe this one too, has ketones in it. Ketones are very, very clearing, cleansing, powerful, only to be worked with in small doses as medicine. And just This is a fighter. The cool thing is this one, this one was in a planter last year. It was out all winter and I didn't cut it back and it came to flower. So I'm getting to know this plant. This is someone I'm getting to know, and it's taken me years, all because I read someplace that don't bother with the flowers. I mean, come on, look at that. They're so gorgeous. They're so gorgeous. So we gotta love them. I'm taking my time with this because I'm not on Instagram Live. And it's just so sunny and bright. But this one I feel like gets more into that kind of helichrysum protective, warm home. This one's a little different. It's a little more of that open, clarifying, and interestingly, this will grow to be taller. This one can go up to I think 3 feet if it's happy. And these are perennials. Here it might not be a perennial. I'm in zone 7B on the Long Island Sound, but anyway, I'm hoping you're just enjoying being with this. I'm going to talk about the oil in a little bit. I think we're going to go now to the Grey Santolina, and we'll talk about, I'll share the Latin name, which I was having fun learning to pronounce. As we're walking, I want to share our friends. Look how happy Roman chamomile is. We're at the end of June. Here's wild quinine. North American from this part of the continent. Super happy Roman chamomile. Very happy this year. Very happy. I'm going to do this just because I can. Since it's plant talk. Plant talk. This is a snapdragon. This came back. I didn't really cut it back too much over the winter, and it came back. It took its time because it likes warm weather. Oh, I could talk about all these plants, but we won't. So here we are, our beautiful Santolina. So this one was growing in this pot last year, and I didn't cut it back. So again, I'm learning these guys and not really reading about them. I like to take my chances with things and then read about them. This one, I did cut back, and it's not going to flower, so lesson learned, right? It likes to grow on older wood, no buds, but I was gorgeous last year just growing it because I like the gray on gray, like with the pots. I think that's quite pretty from an aesthetic standpoint. So here is lavender cotton, and this one's more sticky, and you can see the cottony kind of fluffy feeling of it. It's just super cushiony and happy and soft, and when I spend time with it, and the oil, again, similar, not like helichrysum, but similar. It has that kind of quiet, happy home kind of feeling about it. Here's some spearmint growing in a pot lest it takes over the world. So let's pronounce the Latin name for this one. This one is the one that you'll see the essential oil of definitely on the market. Again, it's not common. It's very potent. Lots of ketones. It does have 1,8 cineol, respiratory support. Myrcene, I believe, paracymene. But very complex. So let's see. So it's Santolina, chamaecyparissus. So Santolina, chamaecyparissus, so chamomile. Think chamazoline, the beautiful chemicals, azulines. I need to look at a report to see if this has azulines in it, but the oil does not come out a color, so I don't know. Something to look into. So chamaecyparissus, chamazoline, chamomile, chamazel. So let's smell. Oh my gosh. See this flower? Because this would be from, the oil would be from the flower. I read reports where it was distilled multiple parts in the root and the plant itself whole. That flower has a bit of the sunflower chamomile smell. And you get to the leaves, and it's very subtle, but there's a quiet sweetness. Like, for some reason, one thing that's resonating with me is I keep wanting to say home, 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 I'm home. And there's a bit of dirt. Why was I'm not smelling citrus, but there's a bringing to mind like lime and lemon and some pine. Oh, and sweetness and tarragon. Every time I'm with it, especially from the bottle, it smells like tarragon, which is an aster family with a little, like this gasoline, very terpenic. I had a scent strip here. Very terpenic. And a bit of sweet floral. Oh, and it happened yesterday. It goes right here and calms. And it has a downward energy. And you think this will not get very tall. And you'll cut it back once it's done flowering. And it's to the ground, the grounding home. And when I was spending time with the oil yesterday, I was reminded of gasoline and tarragon and a gas station when I was probably 5 years old, and I used to love to go to that gas station, and there was an old man who was always typically like call you Blondie, and I remember I loved the smell of gasoline, and that was before digital pumps and all that. It was just so home. And it's really subtle and soft and sweet. I'm getting tarragon. Sweet floral. You get a little bit of that clarifying in the throat. And the energy is inward. Whereas the Green Santolina, the energy is totally outward. Oh, it's like falling in love. And there's a bit of honeysuckle in the air, so I'm like, there's a little bit of that sweet honeysuckle kind of feeling. But it's in the bottle. Calming, home, love. Happy. So Santolina chamaecyparissus. So kind of a lesson for myself, because I'm getting to know this beautiful treasure that I was always intrigued by, but always plagued by that thing I read about, the flowers, why bother, just clip them back. So it's like a lesson of don't listen to your gut and don't listen to other people, and be true to yourself. I always take information for what it is and cross-reference. Like I was looking up the Latin name of this, and I found different ways of pronouncing it, and I was like, well, who's right here? And chamaecyparissus means cypress-like. Doesn't really resemble cypress at all, but it's native to the Grecian Mediterranean area, and the cypresses love growing there. And I wish you were here with me right now. It's so happy. So yeah, trust yourself and be with it, and try to understand what it's like being with the plants and knowing how they grow, and that helps us understand things. And thanks for coming home with me and spending time with the Santolinas. So I love you, love yourself, love the plants, be happy, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you.